Hello, and welcome to the Collaborate, Meet, and Work Remotely webinar, a training brought to you by the Indian Country Digital Trainers Program at the National Congress of American Indians. My name is Yana Allen, and I serve as the Director of Civic Engagement and Special Projects at NCAI. Today, I'm pleased to introduce our instructor, Jeremy Sandoval. Jeremy, who is Okeawenge, is on the staff of the American Indian Chamber Education Fund and works on two AICEF business development programs. Under AICEF, Jeremy is an Indian Country digital trainer for Grow with Google. He is also a procurement specialist for the American Indian Chamber Education Fund Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Through these programs, Jeremy assists Native American businesses, tribes, and tribal enterprises to become familiar with the federal acquisition regulations, the maze of understanding the procurement process when working with the government, and overall business development. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Yana. As she said, I'm Jeremy Sandoval, and today I'm going to present Collaborate, Meet, and Work Remotely. So we all know that working remotely often means working from home. So before jumping into Google Workspace, let's go over a few tips that could make it easier to work from home. Number one is to keep your routine. So if you normally wake up and do a workout, then take a shower, you want to try to maintain that regular schedule. Another one is to create a dedicated workspace. So it's your work spot that you dedicate each day to do your work. And then also don't forget to, take breaks and make sure you plan some lunch away from your desk, just to give yourself, some time to relax and feel refreshed going back into it. The next one is make sure that you have the tools that you need around you. So those that you would normally have in your office, at your actual office, make sure that you have those office supplies that you normally need in a workday. To create a daily to-do list. So at the end of your workday, you could write down the to-do list for the next day, and that would help you keep, track of making sure that you follow up on everything you need to, and avoid having to go back and, go back to the computer to email or do that one last thing. This will help you create that separation between, your work and your home life. Next is, to give your coworkers a little bit of grace. We've all been on conference calls or video calls with distractions in the background. So, distractions happen. So don't worry or stress about it. And finally, as I kind of mentioned before, just make sure that when your workday is done, that you're done and you're not going back to go into, redoing any work. So today I'm going to introduce a few topics that will help you stay productive no matter where you are, so that you can successfully collaborate, meet, and work remotely. So first I'll talk about Google Meet and Google Calendar, and that will help you communicate from anywhere. Then I'll go over Google Drive, and that's how you can collaborate with people on the same files from anywhere. And last, I'll introduce a few training resources that could help you learn from anywhere as well. Many of you might have heard of Google Workspace. It was formerly called G Suite, and it's a collection of products that are designed for the workplace collaboration, storage, communication, and more. Everything that I'm going to talk about in today's workshop, applies to both Google Workspace and the regular, consumer version of Google. So to use any of the tools in today's workshop, you'll need to be signed into your Google account. The GIF on the screen shows an animation of how to sign into your Google account. If you don't have an account, you can set one up for free. And you can either choose to use a new Gmail address, or you can use another email address that you already have that you can register your Google account with. So you go to accounts.google.com/sign up to do that. If you're an employer or a business and you use Google Workspace, you might not have an email address that looks like a typical Gmail address, but that is still a Google account. So if you ever aren't sure if your work email is Google Workspace or not, you want to make sure to check with your team. So let's start off with learning how to communicate from wherever you are. First up is Google Meet, which is a free tool for video conferencing. You're probably used to meeting with your coworkers, clients, team, or even friends face-to-face, maybe in a conference room or over coffee, but that's not always possible when everybody is working from home. Unlike a regular phone call or audio conference call, Google Meet gives you some of the benefits of having that face-to-face meeting, even when you can't be in the same room. It's easy to set up a video conferencing call in Meet and to share that link with other people you want to attend. Anyone can join a Meet call, even if they don't have a Google account. And setting up a Meet is available to everyone who has a Google account, even if that isn't a Google Workspace account. You'll need to be signed into Google to create a video meeting, but you do not need to be signed in to participate in a meeting call. If you have an existing Google account, for example, an @gmail.com username, you'll want to sign in at meet.google.com to get started. And of course, if you don't have a free Google account, you can always create one using your work or personal email address. And you can create that on Google accounts.google.com as well. So what is Google Meet? Well, it's, like we said, a video conferencing platform where people can access a meeting from their computer or their tablet or their smartphone. And they won't need any special plugins or to download any software. If you're connected to the internet, you can connect on Meet. Because so many people are working from home right now, Google is extending the Meet capabilities to all Google Workspace customers. So that means if you usually use Meet through Google Workspace, you can have meetings with up to 250 participants, and you can also record those meetings. For individuals, it's up to 100 participants. All conferences in Meet are encrypted, and the security features are turned on by default. So in most cases, you won't have to do anything to ensure that the right protections are in place. So this slide compares the free version of Google Meet with the paid plan. So the paid plan refers to Google Workspace account, or G Suite, which was formerly called, or a special option called Workspace Essentials that includes Google's productivity tools like Meet, Docs, Slides, Sheets, etc., for businesses who want their own email and calendar systems, such as Outlook. And as you can see on the slide, the free version allows for 100 meeting participants in a meeting, and those meetings can be up to 1 hour, and there's no limit on the number of meetings that you can have. For the paid Google Workspace accounts, meetings can hold up to 250 attendees and allow you to record the meetings depending on the plan. The presentation includes information about the free and the paid versions, so the Meet interface might look a little bit different depending on which version you use. You can compare these plans if you go to workspace.google.com/pricing. So having a Google Meet video conference rather than an audio call helps people feel more connected. If you haven't tried Meet, here are some ways you can use it. Instead of having a brainstorming session, all individually and then combining later, you can have that same meeting with your team on Google Meet. Or if you normally meet with a client in person, you can encourage them to use the scheduling features via Google Meet. And you could even host an online class or a virtual get-together on Meet. Like a lot of Google tools, there are a lot of ways to connect with Google Meet, but here are a couple ways to join a Meet video call. No matter how you access Meet, you'll have a variety of options you can use. So the first one would be meet.google.com. The other one is calendar.google.com. Option one is using Google Meet through meet.google.com. And it's a great solution if you're just having an impromptu meeting or conversation. And if you're in the meet.google.com, all you have to do is click join or start a meeting, as you can see on the slide here. And remember that you don't need a Google account to participate. So if you don't have a Google account, the meeting organizer or someone from the organization has to grant you access to that meeting. So from meet.google.com, all you have to do is to click join or start meeting. And on the slide here, it shows you how to do so. And remember that you don't need a Google account to participate in Meet video meetings. But if you don't have a Google account, the meeting organizer or someone from the organization must grant you access to get into the meeting. If you're not signed into a Google or Gmail account, you can't join using your mobile device. Option 2 is using Google Calendar. So if you want to schedule the meeting in advance, or even if it's the same day but just later, you can do so through Google Calendar. You can find your calendar at calendar.google.com. And once you're in your calendar, you can double-click the date and the time that you want to set the meeting, then add the title and start filling in the details. If you're using Google Workspace, the process of setting up a meeting is pretty similar. When you click the arrow next to Join with Google Meet, you'll see the option to join a meeting via phone. Within your meeting, you can also click on the More Options link to add more information about your meeting. Add guests by entering their email address. You can add notes, as well as other options. When you're done setting up your meeting, make sure that you select Save. So when you save your meeting on your calendar, everyone you invited to the meeting should get an email and notification that looks like the image on the slide here. And they'll have the option to accept or decline that invitation. If you go back into the meeting on your own calendar, you'll be able to see who's replied yes and who said no, or who hasn't replied. When it's actually time to start your meeting, you'll want to go back into your calendar, click on the meeting, and then click Join with Google Meet, as shown on the slide. Everyone who you invited to the meeting also accesses the link from the calendar, or they can go to their email and then join the meeting from the link that's in their email. So once you click the Join Meeting link, you'll see a screen similar to the one on the slide here. And just remember that not everyone can join from their smart computer or smartphone that has a camera, but nearly everyone has, a camera on their phone. So just encourage your participants to maybe use their phone if that's an option. So we just talked about different ways to initiate a Google Meet call. So now let's look at a few of the features within Google Meet. On the slide here, we see a screenshot of how a typical Meet call might look. So there are several settings within your screen. One of those is the ability to mute or unmute your microphone. The other is to turn off your camera or maybe turn it back on. So as you click on those icons as shown on the slide here, that will just toggle those on or off. You'll also see an option for a chat, a chat communication feature. So there are times maybe during a presentation where you might have a question. That would be a good area to enter those questions so you don't, interrupt the flow of your presenter. And then you'll see in the middle of the screen, that hang up or, end meeting sign. So once the meeting is over, you can click on that to end the meeting. So another useful feature is the ability to share your screen. If you want to share a presentation or a document with the rest of the group, you can select Present Now, and then you'll see on the slide here, it shows you what pops up. So you can either share the whole screen, or you can share just a window, or maybe even a Chrome tab. Google Meet also allows you to record meetings to your Google Drive. That way you'll have it safely stored and backed up, once after you're the meeting owner, and then you can go back and find that recording later on your Google Drive. So it might be helpful to record a training session or something that's very useful, contains useful information that you want people to be able to go back and see later. So here are some best practices with Google Meet. You'll want to potentially schedule a practice session if you've never used Google Meet. You can use a friend or a trusted coworker to do a test Google Meet meeting. If you're participating or conducting a video call in Meet, try to keep your camera on, as it keeps a better impression and helps the user stay more engaged. Choose a neutral background if possible. Add external microphones, which could increase your sound quality and also help people stay more engaged. And lastly, when you're not speaking, be sure to mute your microphone or limit moving around so as not to create distracting noises for the person speaking. Now we're going to talk about another Google tool that you can use to work with people anywhere around the world. So you might have been in a situation where someone on your team created a document or a spreadsheet, and they emailed that to you and someone else on your team and asked for your thoughts. So you open the file, make some changes, and save it as version 2 and email that back. Your teammate might have also made some changes and saved it as their own file. And then after a few days, you have a lot of different versions just floating all around, and no one knows which one is the correct version. If you store your files in Google Drive, you can share the access to the files, and then everyone you share it with can make their changes to the one big file. And best of all, you can see all of those changes in real time. So signing into your Google account allows you to access all the products and features that you'll see today. So you'll only have to sign in once to be able to sign into Google Sheets, Google Docs, Slides, Photos, Forms, Gmail, etc. There's a lot of Google applications that are available. So select the Google Apps icon, and then you'll see the Google application that comes with your account. You use the Google Apps menu to navigate between different applications. So as you can see on the slide here, you have sort of that grid-like pattern, and that's what you'll click on to access each different app. So let's start off with the Google Drive. If you're already in another Google app like Gmail, you can click the grid icon in the upper right corner as shown on the slide. And when you click that grid icon, you'll see the Google Drive icon, as well as other icons for Google applications, but most likely the ones that you use most will show up first. The link, there's also the ability to arrange the apps in the way you like. So the link in the quick tip will have instructions, step-by-step instructions on everything you need to know about Google Drive, including how to upload files from other software programs like Word and Excel. And another useful feature that I use it for is uploading PDFs or creating PDFs from Word documents. You can also access Google Drive as well as any of the individual apps for your mobile device. The screenshot on the screen shows a Google Drive app icon on an iPhone. When you store the files on your Google Drive, you can access them from anywhere at any time if you're connected to the internet. And if you know that you're going to be out of connection or range of any sort of Wi-Fi or cell service, you can also have the ability to save documents offline. And as I mentioned earlier, Google Drive is a tool that allows you to save all kinds of files in one secure location. So as we see on the slide, there's documents where it's a Word document or a PDF, but really any type of file can go on Google Drive. When you store files on your Google Drive, you can give different people different access to different files. So say you created a draft agenda for an event that you're planning, and you want everyone on the event planning committee to be able to access that file so that they can work on the agenda. And then on the other team you have is to focus on the budget. So rather than let everybody edit that one, you can just have your team that deals with the budget edit that file. So even better, though, if you have someone who's allowed to be an editor and someone who's allowed to be a reviewer, you can assign those different levels of access to the files. So you can either have the edit a file access, or the comment a file access, or the ability just to view the view without commenting or making changes. You can also give people access to a complete folder that you store a group of files within. And in that situation, everybody who has access to that folder will have access to all the files within that folder. And if you have people outside of your organization, you can also share it with them as well this way. So that makes it really, kind of the perfect sharing application when you want to share with clients or other members of your team. So now I'm going to show you how to create and collaborate on individual files. In order to create one of these files, you'll need to be signed into your Google account. And the slide on the screen shows you how to create a document within the Google Docs application. So you'll start by creating a new file. And as we see on the screen, you go to the big plus icon on the left-hand side, and then you'll have the ability to create a new Google Docs. So you can either start with a blank file, or you can start off with one of the templates that are available through this application. So as I mentioned before, if you're in the other version of Google, the Google Workspace versus your personal Google account, this screen might look a little bit different to you. So whether you're starting with a template or starting with a blank file, the first step you want to do is to rename that document. So you don't end up with a bunch of files called Untitled Document or Untitled Spreadsheet. And I'll show you some of the basic word processing features in Google Docs. But if you want more in-depth information, you can go to grow.google/remote work. And there's a lot of training available for that. So now I want to show you a feature that makes collaboration a lot easier. After you create a document, you might want feedback from other people. And I already mentioned that you can share and give access to other people to the document. So to do that in Google Docs, you would click on the big blue share button on the top right corner, and then you would add the email addresses of those people that you want to share it with. Then they can add a comment, as they're reviewing the document. And to do so, there's two ways. One is to click on that plus icon, kind of on the top part of the screen. And you'll get a little pop-up window where you can type in your comment. And then once you do that, everyone who has access to the file can see those comments. You could also tag people in the comments by using the @sign, or you can use a plus sign as well. So if you want to share it with, say, Pamela at example.com, you would just type your comment and then the plus Pamela at example.com. And then they'll have the option to assign that to a particular person. When you alert or comment to someone, you'll get an email notification, and then they can go in and read that document and reply back or make the change or resolve it however they wish. Any resolved comments disappear from the sidebar of the actual file, but all the communication is stored within the comment area. So you can access the comment area through the small gray callout box next to the larger blue share button, which is that big plus sign in the middle. So here's an example of how to collaborate in Google Sheets. So you see that we can add individual email addresses to assign comments to particular people. And then here's how it looks in Google Slides, which is similar to PowerPoint. You can also save a file in a different format, such as PDF. So if you normally have a Word document that you don't want someone to edit, this is what I typically do, is download as PDF. If you're in Google Sheets or Google Slides, you might want to be able to download those to work in Excel or PowerPoint. So you can also change the format to match those as well. And as I mentioned earlier, you may want to access files while you're offline or there's no internet available. And to do this, while you have the internet connection, you'll want to find the documents that you want to make available offline. And then as you see on the slide here, click on the Make Available Offline option. And kind of going more in depth, to get to that option, it might be a little hard to see, but you click on the file and then Make Available Offline is in that list. So let's talk about some of the next steps to successfully collaborate, meet, and work remotely. First, try Google Meet. Get used to it so you can have video meetings with others, and schedule that practice session if you're still kind of shaky on it. Then become familiar with Google Drive and all the functions of sharing files, commenting on them, assigning action items to other people, and this can make your whole team a lot more efficient. And then explore the training options that Google has to offer. You can go to grow.google.com to find those there. Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides aren't the only apps that Google offers. You might also want to explore forms, which will allow you to create surveys, collect feedback from others. There's Google Sites, which allows you to create your own website for your business or your work portfolio. Then you have Google Photos, which you can store all your images into one place. And they also have a really cool AI feature that can pick out different subjects when you search for them. Then there's YouTube, so you can learn or share content through this platform. And then there's Google Play Store. So if you have an Android device, this is how you can access additional apps. And if you want to sharpen your business or marketing skills, you could check out Google Primer. It's a free app that you can download to your phone. So if you have a Google Android device, you can get it at Google Play. And if you have an Apple device, get it from the App Store. But it has a lot of short, fun lessons that are designed to help you with marketing skills, and they're all under 5 minutes each. And then another great resource is the quick help videos. So you can get answers and learn how to make the most out of Google's tools in only a few minutes. So you'll learn things like how to get your business on Google Search and Maps, how to create YouTube channels, and how to start a Google Meet conference. You can check out the playlist on g.co/grow/help. So here are all the resources I mentioned in today's presentation. So you can take a look at these websites and learn more in-depth information about what I covered today. So that wraps up today's workshop. I hope you learned something and can use Google's tools to help you meet, collaborate, and work remotely.